Our reading for this morning is from John, the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verses 43 to 51. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." "Nazareth? Can anything good come from there?" Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree, before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree. You will see greater things than that." He then added, "Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." I grew up in Lancing, not far from here. I know a few people in our church live in Lancing, and it's not a bad place at all. I'm very fond of Lancing and Lancing people. My parents still live there. But as a child, I used to think perhaps that Lancing wasn't anything special. Or at least that was until the second season of Pop Idol. For those of you who are younger than me, there's a few here, I realise that the name Pop Idol will make no sense. But think of it kind of as an X Factor before X Factor. And I know you'll think X Factor's been going on forever. I really need to give up the ghost. That's what we all think, I realise that. But then there was a pre-X Factor called Pop Idol that still had Simon Cowell as a judge, and Anton Deck presented it. Anyway, on that show, there was one contestant called Chris Hyde. And Chris Hyde was the answer to my question, can anything good come from Lancing? Because Chris Hyde was from Lancing, and he'd gone to the same secondary school as my older sister, and now he was singing on this show that at the time everyone watched. Everyone knew who Chris from Pop Idol was. He didn't win it, unfortunately. He came fourth, but he still did very well. He's still a singer in this area to this day. So can anything good come from Lancing? As a 9-year-old, my answer is yes. Chris Hyde. But Nathanael, in our text today, appears to be less optimistic about Nazareth. Nathanael had a friend called Philip, who had already begun to follow Jesus and was excited to tell Nathanael all about him. And he says these words, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." That's what Philip says. To which Nathanael replies, "Nazareth? Can anything good come from there?" Who's not expecting anything good to come from Nazareth? He's most certainly not expecting a Messiah, God's chosen, God's anointed, to come from there. Perhaps that's because he was steeped in the Old Testament scriptures. And so he knew that there were no messianic prophecies about a Messiah coming from Nazareth. In fact, Nazareth isn't mentioned anywhere in the Old Testament or in contemporary pagan writings of that time. Or perhaps the reason Nathanael said this was that he had already made up his mind about Nazareth, because perhaps he had certain preconceptions or prejudices about Nazareth or people that came from there. And Nazareth wasn't a particularly bad place to be from. It's just a nowhere place, an insignificant place, and an unremarkable place. The commentator George B.C. Murray puts it like this: "The residence of Jesus in Nazareth is akin to his birth in a stable. It is part of the offence of the incarnation." So the idea that God would choose Nazareth, of all places, was laughable, offensive even. So, Nathaniel's mind was made up about Nazareth. And I wonder, all people who are here or those who are watching on the live stream at home, I wonder whether your mind is made up about certain places, or things, or people. About 10 years ago, my mind was made up about Worthing Baptist Church. My only experience of Worthing Baptist Church was walking past this building from the train station into town. And I'd go past the building, and I presumed that it was very old-fashioned, and I didn't get a warm feeling from the exterior. It seemed a little uninviting, and I couldn't understand why there was a Star of David on the outside wall there. Is this a church or is this a synagogue? I couldn't make sense of it. And I remember walking past that sign on the corner there and seeing Reverend Mike Parker on the board. And I wondered, who is this Mike Parker? Poor chap with a big old church like that. Does anyone go there? Does anyone go to that church? I may as well have said, can anything good come from Worthing Baptist Church? Of course, the joke is that my name's also now on that sign. And over the years, of course, I grew to grow to love this congregation as a visiting preacher first, and then as a minister. And then I felt so passionate about this wonderful community that Jenny and I got married here. I invited everyone in my life to come to what I thought was an uninviting building for our wedding ceremony. The joke's on me. But I wonder if your mind was made up about Worthing Baptist Church at one point. I wonder if your mind has changed. It might not have yet. I wonder if your mind has changed. And if so, how? I know from hearing many people's testimonies in this church that the turning point was when they came in and Hills, or someone like Hills, warmly welcomed them in and asked their name and then remembered it and gave such a warm welcome that he wants to stay. I know a number of you, that's been your experience, and that was the turning point right there. But I wonder if you walked to the nearest mock license that way and asked, what do you know about that church up the road? What would they say? I guess it's that they would say very, very little. One of our members once called Worthing Baptist Church Worthing's best kept secrets. But do you think it's about time we let the secret out? It's very common for us human beings to make up our minds. It's normal. We make up our minds about places, people, things. I wonder if you've heard of a place called Wythenshawe in Manchester. Does that ring any bells to you? Wythenshawe in Manchester. Wythenshawe was once the largest council estate in Europe. And in 2007 it was described in the New York Times as an extreme pocket of social deprivation and alienation. Can anything good come from Wythenshawe? Well, at one time there lived in Wythenshawe a working class family that was single-handedly fed by a woman called Melanie Maynard, who had worked multiple jobs just to feed her kids, and she sometimes even skipped meals herself to ensure her son, Marcus Rashford, and his siblings could eat. Marcus Rashford is now the famous England footballer who may have missed a penalty last Sunday, but actually has won in all the important ways by using his platform and resources to work to prevent any child in the UK going to bed hungry. So can anything good come from Wythenshawe? Yes. Marcus Rashford. And those who have subjected him and his teammates to racial abuse are a disgrace. It's actually them. In the weighty aspects of life, it's them that have missed the goal, it's them that have missed the target. And Rashford's won. Racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, ableism. A whole lot of hate can come from people who have made up their mind without examining their preconceptions and prejudices. As we've seen with Nathaniel, minds can be made up about Jesus too. On the one hand, some have made their mind up and assert that Jesus was no more than a nice bloke, a moral teacher, a wise man who died. And sure, some Christians believe that he rose from the dead and can be encountered and followed today. But for some people, the question is, if that is the case, why are Christians often so hypocritical and unloving and judgmental at times? And for those people, can anything good come from the church? Probably not. Anything good come from Jesus? Well, don't see it. And then the questioning stops there, and the curiosity fades. And then on the other hand, you have some people who have made up their mind the other way, and some Christians, they hold Jesus in such a strict framework of belief that they are unable to see Jesus at work in the world and at work in unexpected places. So perhaps they see Jesus only at work in the church, and only in their particular denomination, and only in people who agree with their definition of orthodoxy. And again, when one's mind is made up so strictly, curiosity fades. And some of you will get this next bit. Some of you will say, yes, that's me, to this next bit. Because we can start out in life so curious. And then as we learn more about the world, our curiosity can fade. Especially if we had some hurtful experiences in life, or if we've been especially ridiculed for not knowing things. And we can end up hiding our lack of knowledge and pretend we do know about things, even when we don't. So we might retort little packages of knowledge that's been passed down to us without actually examining their contents. Do you know about boxing? Yeah, I know about boxing. What good can come from there? Do you know about Nazareth? Yeah, I know about Nazareth. What good can come from there? Do you know about Wayne Ship? Yeah, I know about Wayne Ship. What good can come from there? Do you know about Winston Shaw? Yeah, I know about it. What good can come from there? Do you know about Jesus? Yeah, I know about Jesus. What good can come from him? And that's when we lose our curiosity, and then when we lose our curiosity, our spiritual vitality declines, and our spiritual health declines, and our relational health often disintegrates too, and our cynicism, it triumphs. People from there are like that because I want to have an experience with people from there, like that, so they're all the same. But everything changes to Nathaniel when he hears the three words. In reply to his question, what good can come from Nazareth? Philip replies, come and see. Come and see Jesus. Come and find out if he's everything he said to be. Come and be an eyewitness. Come and experience him for yourself. All of that is packed into Philip's three words. That tiny phrase, come and see. Come and see is an invitation to be curious. And with this come and see invitation, there are two elements here. So that there's a step of faith that needs to be taken, and then there's something wonderful to be experienced. We all want to experience something wonderful. But if you're anything like me, you wanted to knock on your door. If God is real, if Jesus is risen, he knows where to find me. He should have my address somewhere. But Philip says to Nathaniel, come and see, take an active step of faith first. Don't just wait, have a go at prayer, read that dusty Bible, commit to that little church through thick and thin, give generously, be baptized, forgive that person, right or wrong. You don't have to do all these things once, by the way, just to lay down. Nathaniel just took one step, just a few steps towards Jesus, and it was as if Jesus met him on the way. And that's grace. I'll read from verse 47. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said to him, here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit. How do you know me? Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, I saw you while you were still under the fig tree, before Philip called you. I love that bit right there, because when we take a step of faith, it feels like we're taking the first step. But that's not the case, because Jesus sees us and knows us before even the idea of coming to him ever enters our minds. He saw you under the fig tree. He's seen you at your best. He's seen you at your worst. And in a lovely way, actually, Jesus focuses on all the good about the family. Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit. And this is how Jesus sees you. He sees your best, whether that's your humility, or your generosity, or your honesty, or your diligence. He sees it all. But there's actually more than just Jesus affirming Nathaniel here. Because Nathaniel is an Israelite. And Israelites come from a man called Israel, aka Jacob, who was well known to deceive others, most notably his brother Esau. And so Jesus is saying that even though you, Nathaniel, are descended from Jacob, there is no deceit in you. You have not been predetermined by your ancestry. God is doing a new thing in you. You are not defined by the actions of your parents or your parents' parents or any of your ancestors. I think Jesus is showing curiosity here. He's noticed something special about Nathaniel. This is the opposite of cynicism. Instead of saying, oh, Nathaniel, he descends from Israel, from Jacob, so he must be a deceptive kind of man. No, Jesus notes Nathaniel's unique character. Curiosity, Jesus shows, not cynicism. And Nathaniel is bowled over by this. He's no longer bothered about where Jesus is from. He says, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. Now, Jesus is not content with this profession of faith. He says, verse 50 to 51, you believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree, you will see greater things than that. He then added, very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. And again, by saying this, Jesus is picking up on the experience that Nathaniel's ancestor Jacob had at Bethel. Jacob had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on earth and going up to heaven with angels going up and down on it. Jesus is saying that I, the Son of Man, that's the name Jesus used for himself, I, the Son of Man, am that stairway. You will come to see me as the one in whom heaven and earth meet. You'll see me as the mediator, the revealer of heavenly things on earth. You'll come to see me as the Saviour. And so Jesus is inviting Nathaniel to be curious and to dare to believe that Jesus might be more than a wise teacher. Curiously ponder if Jesus might be God's greatest gift, the one in whom heaven and earth come together and are reconciled, the Saviour of the world. And for Nathaniel to believe this, it is a step of faith. It would require him to take a step of faith beyond his scriptures, beyond the stories about his ancestor Jacob, beyond the prophecies about the Messiah that had no mention of Nazareth, to move beyond his cynicism and to embrace curiosity. Perhaps your curiosity has faded a little over the years. And if that's the case, I get it. I wouldn't even be able to preach a sermon like this if I had not experienced a bit of this myself. Losing that curiosity is normal, but that doesn't mean it's healthy for us spiritually or relationally. Do you need a resurrection of curiosity in your life? If the Saviour of the world can come from a nowhere place like Nazareth, and an honest man like Nathaniel can come from a deceptive man like Jacob, we cannot set limits on what God can do in and through and for us. And if you've not heard anything so far, just hear this. We cannot set limits on what God can do in and through and for us. We have every reason to be curious. We should expect God to surprise us by working powerfully through those people, places, things we previously made our mind. So yes, good can come from Lancing, and from Nazareth, and from Worthing Baptist Church, thank goodness, and from Wythenshawe, and most certainly from Jesus. Perhaps people have already made up their mind about you because of the place you're from or your family background. But Jesus sees you accurately. It was Martin Luther King Jr. who said, I look to a day when people will not be judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character. And it takes love to put aside prejudice and preconception and see a person accurately. And there is no one who loves you like Jesus does, and no one who sees you more accurately than like Jesus does. Perhaps you'd already made up your mind about about Jesus, either by writing him off as no more than a wise teacher, or by holding him in such a strict framework of doctrine that you'd run close to being surprised by him and challenged by him. Either way, the invitation is come and see. For Nathaniel, that meant taking physical steps toward Jesus and seeing him with his own eyes. For us, it would mean taking steps of faith towards Jesus, speaking with him, learning about him, seeking to follow him, and opening ourselves to the Holy Spirit who pours the love of God into our hearts and transforms us from the inside out. Perhaps this morning you'll take the first step, you'll take another step on that path, or you'll return to that path after a detour. Whoever you are, you're welcome on that path. God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit awaits you there. Finally, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to wrap this up, but let's not forget the part Philip plays in all of this. He says, come and see. And he says to Nathaniel, and to those words right there, come and see, they alter Nathaniel's life. And none of us here, actually, I don't think, would be here if no one had said, come and see to us at some point in our life. If no one had said, come and see to me, I'd probably still be alive, but I fear that my life would be drained of all the colour and vibrancy and hope that following Jesus has brought me. I wonder if some people here might feel similarly about that. Whenever someone says to me, Peter, isn't Working Baptist Church just the greatest church? Why don't more people come? I always say to them the same thing. Some more will come when you invite them. And it's my conviction that we will only grow numerically as a church through the wonderful people that are already part of our church. It's always the same in churches, that's just how they grow. But one reason, I'll finish with this, one reason we might not feel like saying, come and see, is if we've lost our curiosity. Or lost our expectation that God is working and present among us, and that greater things are yet to come. We have to hear and act on that invitation to come and see ourselves before we are able to invite others to come and see. If we're not curious, why would the people we invite be curious? If we're not expecting, why would the people we invite ever be expecting? Some words that I had on my bedroom wall as a teenager from the Baptist missionary William Carey. Finish please. Expect great things from God. Attempt great things for God. I'll repeat that. Expect great things from God. Attempt great things for God. Amen.